Well, hi. Welcome to Thursday night's edition of Bedtime Stories with me, Pastor Michelle. As you can see, I am pet sitting again for two big old dogs and two rats. Yikes. I'm not a big fan of rats, I won't lie. It's many animals. I love animals, but rats are just... I'm not going to say I don't love rats. They're God's creatures, but I want to love them from afar. But I have been trying to be creative. One of the things I was nervous about was having to feed them, but I figured out a way to feed them without having to open the cage. So I got, because that was my biggest fear, is having to open the cage, and what happens if one of them comes out of their whatever and comes up and tries to touch my hand. But today I got a little plastic knife, and while the rats were in their little hiding space, they have a paper bag in the crate in the cage and they stayed in there while I did this. And I took the rat pellets, the rat food, and one by one, took a little bit of time to do this, but I put little morsels on the plastic knife, and then I would slowly put it through the cage, and then it would just slide right into the food bowl. And so about 10 hours later, I got their food bowl nice and full. Anyway, pretty ingenious on my part. Yeah. Anyway, I do hope you're doing okay. It's just been, here we are still going through this pandemic. And some days it feels like there's no end in sight, But what I do like doing these videos. I love doing them. And I do miss kind of doing them live. And maybe I'll go back to that for some, but I do like doing them ahead of time, because you never know what life is gonna, throw at you. And so it's nice to just have them on my YouTube playlist and just share them when it's time. So tonight, our double feature, right? So we have, we're going to start with the Disney story. And so it's from Monsters, Inc. And the name of the story is Monster Moneymaker. Shake Your Money. Isn't there a song called Shake Your Moneymaker? Anyway, I'm a little tired. So every morning as Mike and Sully walk through the lobby of Monsters, Inc. to the scare floor, they pass the Scarer of the Month photos of Sully hanging on the wall. One day, Mike turned to his big blue friend. Sully, he said, "Do you ever think that we deserve a little bit more?" "More?" "Oh, Mike continued, "you're the top scarer. Month after month, all you get is a lousy picture in the hallway, and I get nothing. We should be famous." Then Mike had another idea. "We should set up a gift shop right here in the building featuring solely the Super Scarer memorabilia." "Why do we want to bother with all that?" "Money," Mike explained, rolling his eye. "I don't know, Mike. It just doesn't seem right, us making money off these things. But what if we..." "That's it!" Sully jumped up, nearly knocking Mike over. "We'll donate the money to charity." "Who said anything about donations?" Mike asked. "That's a great idea," Sully said, ignoring Mike. "How will we bask in any glory if we give the money away?" Mike asked. "Well, we will, sort of," Sully explained. "We'll make the donation on behalf of Monsters, Inc." "I don't know about that," Mike said. "This will work, Mike," Sully said. "It's a wonderful idea, and when we help the company make a generous donation, Mr. Waternoose will be very proud of us." Mike was suddenly warming to the idea. "And we'll get lots of press." "Sure, why not?" Sully said with a shrug. "It's a great idea," Mike cheered. "I agree," Sully said. "I'm glad I thought of it." Mike gave his best friend a huge smile. "You always have such good ideas," Sully agreed with a grin. "It's like I always say," Mike added, "scaring's important, but it's the brains behind the monster that matter most. Right, buddy?" So there you have it, my friends. Our Disney story of the night. Now, as you know, we've been going through this National Geographic book that I bought. And we've been listening to stories about different characters in the Bible. And so today, we're going to hear about Hagar and Ishmael. So let's get right into that. And this is a painting, John Baptiste Camille Corot, painted this impression of Hagar in the wilderness in 1835. Let me try to get it. There we go. And there's and then you can see there's Hagar and Ishmael. So let's hear about them. The maid called Hagar was Egyptian. She formed part of the slave booty given by Pharaoh to Abraham in Egypt. But when Hagar conceived a child, she promptly looked down on Sarah with contempt, for she had suddenly become an important personage. Sarah retaliated by dealing with her harshly, forcing the young girl to run away into the desert. An angel found Hagar at an oasis near Shur, somewhere between the Dead Sea and the Egyptian frontier, and persuaded her to return. You shall bear a son, the angel told her. You shall call him Ishmael, for the Lord's given head to your affliction. Ishmael is a contraction of El, and Shama means God, and Shama, which means hears, meaning God hears me. What's more, the angel said, God would so greatly multiply your offspring that they cannot be counted for multitude, a promise that would also be made to Sarah's son Isaac. Sarah urged her husband to cast out the slave woman with her son. Abraham, who was advanced in age, could not resist his wife's entreaties. He gave Hagar bread and a skin of water and sent her on her way. After several days of wandering in the Negev desert, south of Beersheba, Hagar was hopelessly lost and collapsed. Fortunately, as Ishmael lay dying, God took pity on her. Do not be afraid, said an angel of the Lord. Come, lift up the boy and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make a great nation of him. God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well nearby, and they were saved. In the years to come, the boy lived in the wilderness and became an expert with the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. Paran was the name given to the northeastern part of the Sinai Peninsula, centered on the oasis of Kadesh Barnea, a 7-day march from the Egyptian border. So Hagar went to Egypt when the boy reached maturity, and she got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. And so that is an important story in the Bible, I believe. It's just another example of God looking down on someone that felt outcast, who felt what it felt like to be an outcast, who felt what it felt like to feel forgotten. God remembers everyone. That's the way I believe. We serve a God who loves all and remembers all. So God bless all of you tonight, and take care.